recorded.
If anyone wants.
You have a main.ts file.
Okay.
This is the first file will get hit. In that you will have module file will be registered. Okay. This is the module file will call. Okay, you can change the module file. You can create another module file also. Right now I'm not doing. You can change the another, you can create like this n number of module files.
Okay.
Understand my point? When you make the module file, this module file is a class. You see here, this is the structure of module file, which is directed from ng module directive. Okay, this is the decorator. In the ng module decorator, you have 4 properties: declaration property, import property, provider property, bootstrap property.
Okay.
Let's first discuss about declaration property. Any component you are creating, that component will be registered in the declaration property. Understand my point? You see here, I have a containment. Containment component is registered.
Yes.
You see there is an header. Header component is registered. Hook example component is registered. Portfolio component is registered. Login component is registered. So that when you are using ngc component name, that component will be automatically registered in this ng module by default. Understand my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
and then you have a imports. These are all the modules which are derived from node_module folder.
Okay.
You got my point? To access browser module, anything you want to show in the browser, you need to have a browser module. Anything you want to build related to ng hold on.
Forms.
Structure directives.
No. ng model. Without a forms module, you cannot able to call the ng module. You see here what they are saying. Listen this. Export the required provider and directive for template driven forms, making them available import by ng module that import this module.
Okay.
Got the point? Anything you need to work on ng module, you need a form module.
Form module is different.
I got my point. To bring these modules, you need to have a import namespace like this. You see the difference? These modules are come from node module. These modules are come from your project. Make sense?
Yes, yes.
So that is why I given a line. These are comes from node_module. These are comes from project component. Clear my point?
Yes.
So we discussed about declaration, we discussed about import. Now come to the provider and bootstrap. Bootstrap is nothing but which module I need to bootstrap. In the app module, which component I need to bootstrap as my parent component. Let's go here and change login. Login component. I copy this component. Okay, now you see the browser. Which component is loaded? Exercise. Now, if I go back, change the component, bootstrap component as portfolio component. It will not work. Now you go and say
it means the project startup page. We can
absolutely, you are right. It's a startup.
Yes. Okay.
It's a startup page where you need to create you need to bootstrap it. Now see here, a set of components that are bootstrapped when this module is bootstrapped or loaded. Or you got my point? So this is called bootstrap property. Now coming to the provider property, anything you want to inject as a service or anything you want to inject as a component or anything you want to inject as a directive, or you can create your own custom directives. That time you can go and use this service. I will discuss this provider with the later point of time. Okay.
Okay.
So now you all understand, right? What is declaration? What is import? What is bootstrap?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So when I make a first request, the request will goes to app module here, and then this guy will call the app component. Where is that app component? This is your component. Understand my point? In the app
Yes,
component,
yes.
corresponding HTML file will be called. Everybody clear?
Yes, sir.
Whenever you open any Angular project, your first goal is what is my starting point? If you go to a project or an organization, when somebody comes and asks you that what is the project you want, how are you going to do it? Your first goal, you need to go and see main.ts, which one is bootstrap. And then your second goal, this bootstrap as a app module. Now go to app.module.ts. Now see what are all the components are registered. And then what are all the ng import files, ng modules are imported. And who is my bootstrap component? Now, when I say here, there is a bootstrap component, is app component, just go and open component.ts file. You see, is there any code is available? You need to take from there. Otherwise, go to here in the HTML, you have to build the app. Right? Everybody clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Clear,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
This is the flow of Angular architecture. Fine. Now coming to the next thing. I have two components. One is parent component under which I have a child component. I want to pass data from parent to child. What is the decorator I need to use?
Input decorator.
Input decorator. Good. How to do that? Can you give me some steps? At least give me some skeleton. How are we going to do the input decorator?
We need to do the emit.
Come again?
Emit.
Emit is not for input. Emit is for
Output.
output.
Output emit. Yes. At the rate input is a decorator. It will assign to before of variable.
See, any TypeScript as a class, you need to declare a variable to hold data. Will you all understand that one first?
Sir, it's mandatory.
Everybody.
Hold the data.
Yes,
See,
yes.
let's simply discuss like this. Why do we need to build a project? Why do we need to build an application?
Application built for presentation of data.
Business.
Whatever the data you are having, that data need to be presented in a format. So that user can able to enter the data or view the data or download the data, right?
Yes.
Any application you build, the end goal is to represent the data. Right?
Yes.
Do you have any other point apart from this?
No.
No.
No, right? Now here, in the class of component, any component, let's take an example. We did a login component, right? Let's open this TS file. You see in the login component, I have variables, right?
Yes.
What is the purpose of this variable in this class? It is used to hold the data.
Yes.
Is there any other thing we are going to do in this particular data variables?
No.
No. And then what is the purpose of method? Based on the data you are holding, you are going to do certain operation, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So apart from these two, is there any other thing is required in a class?
No.
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 No. So for any technology, B2B Java, B2B .NET, B2B Angular, B2B React, B2B Python, only two things you need. What is that? Variables and
Method.
method. Or if you have these two, if you are clear with this in your mind, will you able to build project? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's easy to understand. I may talk
Yes.
a lot of OOPS concepts. I may type a lot of things. Okay. That is secondary. First, we need to think in such a way that when I'm building any application or a project or a product, what type of data we are going to present or what type of data we are going to collect from the user. If we understand that, rest all is a layering. In which layer, what you are going to do, in which layer, how I am going to present the data. See, if you look into here, let's take on this login.ts component alone. Let's think here in the HTML. What is the purpose of login component here? Why do I need this? I simply say, when a user is entering in the enum, if there is no record, I'm saying light green and red. Understand my point?
Yes.
When you click a submit, this submit should be visible only when the paragraph should be displayed. What is the main idea behind this div? To get data from the user, saying that name and email, and click on submit. Only these two things I'm using or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Once the user has been entered the data, I want to hold the data to the variable. For that, I'm using a concept called ng model.
Yes. Two-way binding.
Okay. This is particularly for two-way binding. Amar, understand?
Yes.
Venkat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The main purpose of ng model is to hold the data. Once you hold the data, where it is going to hold the data? In the variable n. You can assign value to the variable. It will automatically reflect to your text box. If you enter text into the text box, it automatically assigned to the variable because of ng model. That's why we are calling ng model is a two-way binding. Clear my point?
Yes.
And
Yes.
coming back to here, why do I need a for statement here? I have two fors in these two variables. To create an association between the label and text box, I'm using for. Let me show you. Go to my app component.html, remove this. I say app -login. You see here, if I click Narendra, it automatically get detected. Right? Both
Yes.
are red. The moment I entered N, it became green. So that the data what I'm entering is valid. And then when I'm clicking Naren at gmail.com, data become valid. Okay. What is the event it is firing to become red to green? The event which we are firing in the logger.html,
style. And
this is the one.
okay.
Sure. Okay.
The text box as an input event, which call a method called check email validation. Every time you enter any value into the text box, this input event will be fired. That is the event you are writing a code here as a logic. This logic will check whenever you enter any key. If the code is satisfied with @and.com, then only it will become green. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Yes.
And this email valid, I'm going to apply with ng style, where I'm saying background color, email valid equal to true, it will be light green, other else red. ng
Yes, sir.
style is a directive. Can I
Yes.
say
Yes,
ng
sir.
style is a directive?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Directive.
Or you got my point? So now I understand. See, here I simply say if num is null, it will be red. If num is something value, it will be green. Here I'm just validating against the variable containing data. Here I'm validating against the method based on the data. I told you from the first thing. Anything, any application you build, you need two information is most important. What is that? Data and method.
Data method. Yes.
Right? Here we are
Yes.
doing the same thing.
Yes, sir. Same thing.
Are we deviating?
No.
Here in the ng style, if the data is available, you are making light green. If the data is not available, you are making red. Done. Now come here. Whenever the user enters, that data you are passing to a method called check email validation. This check email validation will return a boolean as true or false.
Yes.
Right? Based
Yes.
on the boolean, you are making light green or red.
Yes.
So that your submit form became green. Once it has been green, when you submit, a login method is invoked or not.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
When you make this login method invoked, this form button should be boolean true. If the ng if directive is true, I'm going to show this login form submitted successfully. By default, is form submitted equal to false. Now you see here, right now, are you able to see the login form?
Yes. Submit.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Submit form.
Yes, sir.
The moment I click submit, you see,
The login form submitted successfully.
Successfully.
understand my point?
Yes, sir.
Got it, sir.
Now coming back to here, in the login form.ts, in the submit, before this submit logic calls, I can call an API here. To validate the data to the server side.
Yes, sir. Possible.
Yes.
Or you got my point?
Yes.
If API succeeded,
Mm-hmm.
if API succeeded, redirect the page. Else, API not succeeded, throw the error message. Is it the way we need to write?
Yes, sir.
Throw the error message.
Error message.
Yes.
What is there in the logic? Nothing, right? It is very simple, right?
Yes,
Do you
sir.
feel it is a tough
No.
or easy? What you are doing, you are checking your name and email valid is there or not. If it is there, you are calling an API. And if your API says that, yes, the data what you are passing is correct, redirect the page to some other page. And if your API is not saying, don't redirect the page. Instead, what you will say, you will create an error message. That error message will be make it as true.
Mm-hmm.
Understand my point?
Yes.
As simple as that. Now, if you look into this login component, what are all the directives we used? Let's think one by one directive. The very first directive is ng model
NG
directive.
model.
Yes.
NG model.
Direct.
NG style.
NG style.
NG if.
Input event, click event,
Click event.
Click event. Yes.
ng if.
NG if.
Structure directive.
These are all called as directives.
Yes.
Amar Venkat? He is there. Venkatesh. Venkatesh. He's a busy
Yes, sir.
man.
Sir,
You understand, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. You all understand, right? Now coming back, we did another big example called portfolio builder yesterday. Now, if you look into this HTML, what are all the directives we used? The very first directive is ng container.
Container. ng template.
ng template we used.
Yes.
And then we used ng if
ng
statement.
If.
Why do we
model.
need this ng? 1 second. Why do we need this ng if? If submit is true,
then
if
only
submit is true, ng container will come.
Container will come.
Yes.
If this, no, by default, is submit is false.
Yes,
If it is true, it will call the ng template. In the ng template, you are taking this variable here with the help of hash
Yes, reference variable.
as a reference variable.
Reference variable.
Or you got my point? The
Yes.
variable, whatever you are holding in the ng container, will become a reference variable of ng template.
Yes.
So coming to the container inside, we discussed about ng model.
ng model.
And if you come here, you see there is a ng for.
Yes.
Why I am using an ng for here? This qualification is an array.
Array.
Yes.
So that you are getting 1 by 1 data, that data you are going to bind here.
Yes.
Now, how to build the array? Now, go to the portfolio component. Here, you are saying name, email, phone number, address. This is for your main. In the array, you are creating a variable inside the array like this. Okay. So, first time it get initialized, so that first time it is loading. Every time I want to add a new array item, for that I'm using this dot qualification dot push.
Push.
What it is saying, append new element to the end of an array and return the new length of an array.
Yes.
Push method is used. If somebody comes and asks you what is the purpose of push method in Angular,
To add new row.
it will add new element to end of an array.
Yeah. Correct.
As simple as that. It will add new element at the end of an. Done my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is how you need to discuss. Once you entered that, every time when you click add new element, automatically this container will recreate every time.
Yes, sir.
This ng
Regenerate
for will,
to
this ng for will
regenerate form.
regenerated.
Yes, sir. Generated.
When
Yes.
you click submit, all the data available in this particular stuff, we can take as an array.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the value you are going to bind here in the preview.
Template.
Okay,
Yes.
Sushma, Judy, Ganesh, Amar, Ishwar,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Yashasvi. Now, let's think about hook. Give us some overview. See, now you see here, I remove a class. Okay. A component is hook component. In the HTML, I'm saying app. Well, it is not coming. Let's go to component. Take this one, copy. This is the selector you need to add in any component. Okay.
Okay.
I say, and then component. Now you see hook component works.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I never done anything. I simply went added this as this selector as a one of the component to check. Now I'm closing everything. My goal is this is my class, right?
Okay.
Yes.
I need to create object for the class. How to create object for the class? In basic, how you will create object? Hook,
Hook,
example,
new, equal to new.
example, component, comp equal to new of hook, example.
Yes.
Constructor. Yes.
Constructor. Yeah.
This is your construct,
Yes.
Correct.
right? This component will hold the object of this class,
Yes.
right? For
Yes, sir.
this class, it will automatically create internally. You no need to create object like this,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
You no
Okay.
need to create object like this. Whenever you register in app.component.html, this hook example component will fired automatically. The moment it fired automatically, since it is a class can have a constructor or not.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
If
By
not
default,
mentioned,
any class always has a constructor.
constructor, sir. It will generate to runtime.
Okay. So now what I'm saying, I'm using a constructor. I say console.log and the method I'm going to say hook executed. Sorry, constructor executed. Constructor executed. Now, if you go here, right click and inspect element, you see the console, you refresh. Which one is executed? Where is the constructor executed? You see?
That one, sir. Yes, sir.
You got the constructor executed or not?
Yes, sir.
Say yes or no?
Yes.
And then, sir, when this HTML will be rendered, after executing the constructor or before executing the constructor, this HTML will be get rendered. You understand my point?
Sir,
When the constructor will be executed, before rendering the UI or after rendering the UI?
sir, before rendering the UI, sir, constructor
Before
will
rendering the
Yes.
UI, constructor will be
Ex-
executed.
Yes, sir.
Or you got my point?
Yes.
So,
Sir, one query here. Can I?
yeah, please. I'm happy to hear.
Normally in the TypeScript, normally C#, in the public section, we can declare the constructor. But in this side, I have some little bit confusion. This is not a public section. There's a the export is a method.
See, in C#, by default, constructor is public.
Yes.
Got my point?
Yes, got it.
In Angular, by default, constructor is also a public. Understand my point?
Okay.
But you won't specify the access specifier.
Okay.
Won't define the access specifier in Angular.
And it should not be class name. In
It should be
Angular.
class name. Should be a class. It should not be a class name.
No, it should not be class
No,
name.
no, no,
You mentioned a
no, no, no,
constructor,
no.
right?
Wait. I will come.
Okay.
Always your constructor name is same as class name
Yes.
in C#.
Yes,
It's
correct.
mandatory.
Right?
Yes.
Here, when you declare a constructor, by default, it will detect the class name.
Okay.
Got the point?
Okay.
And access specifier by default is public.
Okay.
Understand my point?
Okay.
Second point, while defining constructor, no need to specify class name. No
Okay.
need to specify class name. By default, it automatically detects the class name. By default, it will automatically detect the class name. TypeScript is minimizing your code.
Okay.
I got my point.
Okay.
Now you all understand what is the constructor in Angular.
Okay, got it. But here one more question. If in the C sharp have a multiple classes are there at that time, that will based on the class name it will be identified. But in Angular side, how it is identified, sir? If multiple
No.
classes are there, assume that.
See, in C sharp, even though you have a multiple classes, you will pass the object, right? You will
Yes,
create
yes,
an
correct.
object, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. But here in Angular, you will inject.
Okay.
When you inject, instance will be automatically created or not.
Yes, sir. Created.
Yeah, it will create. Okay.
But
Got
if
it.
you look into the core ASP.NET core, when you inject a service or when you inject a DB context class, it automatically create an object for you, or you are
Yes.
creating object.
No, it will create.
It is automatically creating, right?
Yes,
Yes.
correct. Got it.
Same way in Angular, when you inject a particular HTML or TypeScript file as a component, it automatically create an object and detect the class name as well. Understand my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Got it.
You no need to write a big code. Judy?
I'm good, sir.
Sir,
Yes,
I
sir.
have one
Understand?
doubt, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what is the exact use of ng on init?
Did I went there? Why you are hurrying? Did I explain that?
No, sir.
Then
Till now,
wait. I'll come there only. Wait. See, this constructor will execute before preparing a DOM element. Before preparing a DOM element. Agreed this? What is DOM element? HTML element is your DOM.
yes, sir.
Under
Sir.
point, right?
Yes, sir.
But I had a situation after preparing the DOM element, I need to do certain operation. Element, I need to do certain operation. Is it possible in Angular? See, my constructor was there. After constructor execution, DOM element is prepared. After DOM element, I want to perform an operation. Understand my point? This is my scenario. I'll tell you sequence of flow. Sequence of flow. What will be executed first? Constructor.
Yes.
And then object created for the component. Based on the object, manipulation will happen. DOM will be generated. And rendered. Now I want to do an operation on top of this DOM. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Yes, it is possible. With the help of component life cycle or Hooke's life cycle. Now you got the point?
Yes, sir.
So now tell me, hook will be executed first or last? Any hook.
First.
First.
Think. Hook will be executed first or last? When the hook will be executed?
Sir, after constructor.
Always your hook will be the last step. Always your hooks will be your last step. Got the point? Yes or no? It has to create a constructor. It has to create an object for the component. DOM need to be generated and rendered. Then only on top of that, you are going to implement hook. Clear my point? This is called component life cycle. This is called hook life cycle. Venkat, Amar.
Yes,
Got it? Judy.
Yes, sir.
Yashashvi. Now, to make initialization ng init, what Ishwar is asked is, go to your code. Here, to call ng init hook, first you need to declare here on in it. This on init is an interface. It is not a class. Can anyone read this?
On init is declaring, but its value is never set. Interface implements on init.
What they are saying, the lifecycle hook that is called after Angular has initialized all data bound property of a director. Define an on init method to add additional initialization task. Right?
Yes, sir.
So to call this interface into this class, what I need to do here, implements
On init.
on init.
ng on init. So,
the moment you implement on init, why I am implementing? Because this on init is an interface.
interface.
Okay, this interface contains ng on init method. Understand my point?
Okay.
So this n on init method, where it is coming from? You see here, the ng on init is component is there or not?
Yes.
This ng on init coming from angular.core. Under angular.core, this ng on init interface is there. With that, you are going to implement that on init. Based on that, ng on method will come. Now you see here. Now, if you build, it gets failed. You see here, it is failing. What they're saying? Can anyone talk? Read this. Read this one.
Property ng on init is missing in type.
You got the point?
Yes, yes, yes.
So to implement ng on init, you need to use interface method. Now I am going to call this one. I say ng on in it. Now tell me whether my constructor will be executed first or ng on it will be executed first. Which one will be?
The first, before constructor, it will arrange the data. After that, constructor is executed. Why? Because of is depending on another class that class implements. Main source of on-init method is executed. After that, constructor is building. After that, DOM element will be fired.
Now we'll see. You keep your statement.
Okay.
What you said, I'm agree, but make
But-
sure your statement should be right or wrong.
Sir.
Okay, I'm refreshing. Go to console. Which one is executed first?
Constructor is executed, sir.
Then,
Before of NVM. Yes. Okay.
so what is my statement here?
Object creating one component. First constructor is executed. After that, object created, and for the component, DOM element is generated and rendered. Finally, we component lifecycle hook will fire.
Now, the statement what I given, my output is matched.
Yes.
Everybody, say yes or no.
Yes.
This is called hooks, nothing more than else. Nothing more than else. Clear my points? Everybody clear? Ishwar,
Yes. Clear, sir.
Sushma, Judy.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you guys. We'll connect tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Have a nice day, sir.